No matter what somebody pays you, you will always deliver more value than what you're paid. As long as we deliver more value than price, what is the limit on what we can charge? We must act in service of others. We must hold the needs of our clients above our own need to make money. In the military, they form a very tight bond. They will literally die for each other. So when a grenade rolls into a tent, they're all fighting to see who can jump on it to save their 9 friends. That's what it means to serve others. If you serve others ahead of your need to make money, you will then be selling with integrity, because sometimes serving others means a lot of you will hear the concepts in which we share so that you can charge more, and you can charge based on the client and not the work. And some of you come back to me in the comments and say, is that ethical to do? How come you can just keep telling people to raise your rates, or charge more, charge double, and still be okay with that? I have this strange belief that money is an infinitely renewable resource, like water, like oxygen. And all I have to do is figure out what I can do to serve people, and they will give me that money. And there's no shortage of it. I live in a state of abundance. And I started to figure out, when I give people advice, they always say, but Chris, how can you tell people to charge more when their work sucks? Or how do you know it's worth it? Right? Does anybody have a problem with that? That issue, right? You do. I mean, they think I'm like, Satan incarnate. I'm just telling people how to make more money. So what they don't understand is I have an assumption, and the assumption is you're good at what you do. And I can't go in there and try and fix all those problems. That was supposed to be the job of the university you went to, or the person that you mentored or studied under, right? Okay, when we can agree to this, and I'll explain it in a second, we shouldn't have any more problems with what we're doing is not ethical, okay? I recently ran a sales workshop, and I said, before we can do any of the training that I share with you, we must agree to these things, and you have to explicitly say, I agree, I commit. Otherwise, everything else I'm going to teach you is not good, because you're not a good person, and I don't want to teach you anything. Okay, so here's what we do. Number one is we must agree that what you do is good and that you do good work, okay? That I look at it like this. Have you done your 10,000 hours of intentional practice? Have you done that? And if you haven't, go do that. There are people that I know that are really good at picking up tidbits from videos, and they read a book or two, and they're really good at regurgitating the information they've learned. I have to work really hard at regurgitating information I've learned. But they can just do it. You know somebody like that. You might be that person. And then you can walk around, talk about something on a superficial of the surface layer, and sound really smart to someone who doesn't know. And then you sell that thing. And what happens after you sell something that you don't know how to do? Tell you what happens.
You don't get any more referral or work from that person.
Yeah. And you feel stressed out. You will embarrass yourself. And the clients will feel really bad about giving you money. In fact, if it goes really poorly, what's the worst case scenario if you sell someone something and you're not good at doing that? What's the worst case scenario?
They tell other people that you're bad at what you do.
Worse.
They want their money back.
Worse.
They sue you.
Yes. They sue you for damages, for waste of time, for fraud. They file a legal complaint against you, and maybe there's no official body governing what we do, but what if they had you disbarred from design or photography? You know what they can do? They can go onto websites and post negative reviews about you in ways that will ruin your reputation, right? We have to be very careful about protecting our reputation, because we only have one. And good news travels fast, bad news travels faster, right? You read a couple of really angry reviews and you start to question the company or the person. Is that fair? Okay. This is what Professor Errol Garrison would say. He goes, when you do a good job, they tell one person. When you do a bad job, they tell 10 people. Is that true? You guys have done that too. You've taken your time out to write that flaming review. Never go here. Never stay at that vacation rental by owner, right? You've done that. So this is a problem. And we see people do this all the time. And you know what? It doesn't just hurt you. It hurts everyone who calls himself the same thing that you call yourself, right? Now, how many people feel like they do good enough work? They've met the minimum criteria of the 10,000 hours of doing intentional practice. I forgot to write down the word practice. A show of hands, how many people feel like they've done that? Okay, this is good. And I think that's a pretty fair assessment of this room. I count less than 30% of the room. Okay, this is wonderful. I love that we can have an honest conversation with each other. So one of the things I write about, and I say this, don't compare your beginning with someone else's middle or ending. But that's what we do. All right, number 2. We must agree to this, that no matter what somebody pays you, you will always deliver more value than what you're paid. I forget who said this, but they said, when value exceeds price, they buy. It's clear, right? All of you here are evidence, especially if you had to pay for this, that the perceived value that you got from coming here exceeded the price. Otherwise, you will not buy. And in fact, this is true with any purchase that you make, unless it was done under duress. So for example, if your car broke down on the side of the road in the desert, middle of the night, the tow truck driver can charge you whatever they want. You probably will not feel the value exceeds the price, even though you literally will because you're paying, but you might feel cheated about it because you're under stress or duress, okay? So as long as we deliver more value than price, what is the limit on what we can charge? You can put in whatever number you want. There's zero judgment because it's the deal you make with yourself. So our focus should be in creating value for others. There's an expression, you are in business to sell money. When you sell money, people buy nonstop. So what we have to do is figure out what money is for the buyer. And each buyer has a different definition of money, okay, and value. So if we're going to talk to the client about this logo that we're going to charge $750 for, we have to understand in their mind what is the value of that logo to their mind. How do you guys talk about it? So how do you talk about the value, in this case, of a logo to the buyer? How do you currently do this? How do you help them understand the value of the logo? How are we educating them? The way that you talk about price and value is you ask the buyer, what is valuable to you? What would this logo do for your business? How would it impact your marketing efforts? You just ask them questions and they will tell you how valuable it is to them. They'll say it's worth, I don't know. I think I can generate, you know what? Here's the best example. If I make a t-shirt with a really cool logo, that shirt is now worth more money. Okay? Right? It's worth more money because a blank t-shirt is say worth $5. But a shirt with like a really interesting logo on it is worth more, right? Or it could be that logo or whatever logo. If it's a good logo, people will buy it. It'll be worth more. Well, how many shirts can you sell? Oh, 2 million shirts. At how much profit? $1. So you're going to increase your profit by $2 million? Yes. That's how much it's worth to them. I don't do any explaining. I'm just asking them questions. What's it worth to you? So when the client tells you what it's worth to them, now you know some percentage of that price will feel really fair. Number 3, we must act in service of others. We must hold the needs of our clients above our own need to make money. Does that make sense? You know what it means to be of service. If anybody's in the military, they say thank you for your service because you're willing to sacrifice something for the rest of us. You hold the needs of others ahead of your own. Now, in the military, they form a very tight bond with each other. They will literally die for each other. So when a grenade rolls into a tent, they're all fighting to see who can jump on it to save their 9 friends that they have no blood relationship to. That's what it means to serve others. So if you serve others ahead of your need to make money, you will then be selling with integrity. Because sometimes serving others means, I don't think I'm a good fit for you. I think there are people who do this a lot better than I do. I think you need to go with them. Or I know someone who could do it faster and cheaper and better than me. I need to refer them, even though it's going to hurt me financially. Does that make sense? Now, the question for all of you before we move on here is, do you always act with a servitude mindset? Do you always serve your clients ahead of your need to make money? Not always. That's the truth. Because they'll hire you to do the logo and you're like, I know people who could do this better and faster than me. Not in the world, but I literally know 3 people who could do it better and faster. So what is the alternative then? What happens if you know people who could do better and faster than you? What is your only solution then, besides referring it away? Okay, so we serve others ahead of our need to make money. Got it? The last one is not that tricky. You always act with integrity. And acting with integrity means you're willing to do things even though they're difficult and painful. If we can do that, we have no problem. We can get into a sales role play right now, right? And you can show me how you sell. Then all of a sudden I'm like, are you serving me right now with that question? With your agenda? Are you? And you've never asked me what I value. How do you know the price that you're charging is fair to me? So we can say this logically and agree to it in our mind, but more often than not, the rule we're breaking is rule number 3. I'll show you what I mean. You've heard of this expression before, that if only tool you have is a hammer, all the problems in the world look like a nail. Do you know what that means? Have you heard this quote before? If the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. What does that mean?
You will start smashing everything with blunt force that might need to be screwed in, like with a screwdriver, but
Yeah.
you approach everything with one attack.
You basically have one solution for all problems. Does that make sense? You only have one solution for all the problems. Watch this. These are all the potential problems it could be. A normal person is like, that problem needs that solution. That problem needs that solution. That problem needs that solution. They're all different, right? They need different solutions. You know what you do? Watch this. I only have one hammer. That's my solution. You know what? You need this. You know what? You need this. You know what? You need this. You need this. Is that how you serve others? Clearly not. Right? It's, for example, if you're an electrician or a plumber and they need a new roof, you're like, oh, I'll fix your plumbing, bro. You're like, what does that have to do with what I just asked you to do? Now, logically, this makes sense, right? How many people are doing this who would admit to it? See, because Tay works on running ads and Diego works on running ads. What if I don't need ads? What are you supposed to do then, Tay?
I'm supposed to let you know, hey, what you need is not what I provide, but I know someone who can meet that need.
Right. You act with integrity and you serve others. You say, I think you need a really awesome logo identity based on our conversation so far. Or you need really high-end photography. What I do is help you run ads. I don't think we're ready to work with each other. That's how you do with integrity. And if you know someone, you refer them. Okay? But what do? We actively do the opposite. We try to convince them that they don't need that, they need this. So you're already screwed here. We've broken the 4 agreements. So when you're in the sales conversation, you should design the entire conversation around assessing their needs, their wants, their fears, their dream outcome, the reason why they want it in the first place. And you should have a business conversation, a strategic conversation with them, such that you help them understand what the real problem is and what might actually solve it. Value-based pricing means whatever the person is worth. All I do is change the standard of friends or business people that are interested in talking to me, which is a different conversation. So if I'm slumming it outside right there in Skid Row, wherever, the value is less than 0. I'm going to get stabbed. They're going to take my money. But if I hang around Wall Street or people who have multi-million, multi-billion dollar companies, the value is very high. Or I sell it to salespeople, they need this skill more than anybody else because they're seeing a lot of at-bats. And so if they can close at a higher rate for a higher amount, it's worth a lot of money. Make sense? Okay, but I'm going to show you how to do this, okay? It's written very clearly in Blair Enz's book, and I'm going to show you, okay? Typically, what we do is we talk about solutions, right? Usually when you're on the phone with a prospect, you're like, well, I'll build you a website, I'll make you a logo, I will create an ad campaign for you, we'll do targeting, retargeting, I'll create an email click funnel for you. We talk about the solutions, right? And then what do we do next? We talk about the what? Price. We talk about price. Okay, right? I'm going to build a website, I'm going to do a logo, it's going to cost this much. Let's pretend we're all marketers now, okay? So I want to increase, I'm going to grow, okay, the goal would be we want to make more revenue, right? And the way we're going to do that is we need to increase awareness, aka impressions, and we need to increase conversions, right? Yes? We might need help in copywriting, making a killer offer. We need to do all those things. Okay, how will you measure success? Well, if we can 2x this, that'd be great. For you, it might be 10x, just in awareness. I think awareness, we need big numbers, not like 200. We need to like 2 to 10x our awareness. Because very few of those, how many percentage convert on awareness? What's the average conversion?
Oh, just from like an impression? Oh, gosh.
Yeah, a fraction. Let's say like 1%. It's tiny. Maybe 2% if you're really good. 4%, you're a banger. That's amazing, okay? Now, let's say you're able to create 2 million impressions at a conversion of 1%, whatever that number is. What value is that to your company? They're going to say, oh, it's 400K. That's the value, right? Wonderful. So you're saying if you had a company do all this stuff for you, this and this would happen, you would generate $400,000 of additional new revenue that you didn't have previously? They're like, yes. Are you sure? Yes. Then you say, what percentage are you willing to invest for that?